Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of Nail on Sunday with me, Chris. And my beautiful co-host,
Rebecca.
Hi guys, welcome to our first podcast. It's been a long time since we've actually done a podcast. I've never actually properly been on a podcast. It's only ever been you and Jennifer.
You've been on Shad's podcast.
Yeah, but I mean like with one of our podcasts.
I'm sure you have.
Only in the background, because I'm normally the guy in the background. But when it came to Chris and Becca's TikTok, I mean, obviously, you know what you tune in to see.
Nonsense
From Chris. But today I'm going to try and be more regular, level-headed co-host, Chris.
Are you going to publish this because it's dark?
Probably not, but I can always edit this.
But what if you do want to?
I can bring it up in post.
Okay. I still think we need a nail right there.
So guys, right now we're testing this. So if you ever do see the light of this means it's actually turned out to be quite a good podcast. What are we missing? So right now we've set up our new office.
What are we missing? Stuff that goes on a work desk.
Okay, so normally we'd have like our laptops.
But Chris doesn't want clutter. But the problem is that our work desk, right, so we haven't even moved up here. My neurodivergence means it's going to take a long time for me to move up here. So I'm doing it bit by bit. So I've got a couple of things up here, which is really annoying. So I now keep having to run up the stairs to come and get things. But also I don't want to be away from everybody else. Like maybe we could just have like a fireman's pole down, because they're directly below us right now in the office. So we could have like a fireman's pole and be like, hi guys, just a hole in the floor where I can speak to them.
I mean, the reason, honey, you understand, the reason we built this office is so you could get away from them and do more work better, faster, stronger. I understand. They're your friends. And every time I say you're hanging around.
But they also need me. They ask me questions all the time. And if I'm right there, then it's nice and easy.
So, do you think you could potentially, we've not even started the podcast yet, that's the intro. So, do you think that you could potentially share your time and use it more efficiently?
I think that is probably what I'm going to have to do. Like go, okay, I'll come up here for a couple of hours a day, but then I'll still have my seat down the office. But do you know what has really attracted me up here is this actual seat, because it's a cross-legged chair and it's very, very comfy. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to buy one of these for downstairs as well.
No.
Yes, I think so, because it's comfy. So what I was thinking is that, you don't know this, but I was thinking the first episode of this should be us talking about our business. Obviously, Nail Order has grown. We've got a lot more customers now than we had before. So maybe people don't know the backstory of Nail Order. So I thought we could go over that.
That's a good one.
And when better to do that than a tester one?
All right.
That juice is not in the frame.
Yeah. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to thank today's sponsor, Energy Juice from Booker.
Wow.
It used to be 35p.
Did
Inflation, yeah.
Wow. And my sponsor,
Yeti.
Stanley.
Oh, Stan.
Isn't that Yeti?
In fact, Yeti, shout us out, bro. I'd like just like a little goblet. Perfect size for like a tall boy.
I really think that this is going to reach Yeti, and you're going to get that.
Get everyone tag Yeti in the comments.
So Chris, when did we start Nail Order?
Nail Order, it's a pandemic, baby.
It is. And I think it's really important to start by saying that Nail Order has had a lot of transformations. It's like a butterfly that's gone into a chrysalis several times, and every time it's come out. Can I move this a little bit?
Of course.
Because my hand's going to like touch it. And just like twist it right this way, is that right? Yep. Every time it's come out of its chrysalis, it's got bigger and more beautiful.
Okay.
That's what I think. So, like I said, we started in 2020, and we started because our salon was closed. Chris and I had a salon for over 10 years, and it was a busy salon, predominantly nails, but we did all treatments. I did nails myself. But yeah, we found ourselves with nothing to do, and there are projects that we'd been really wanting to start or do, but we had no idea how to start them, and we just didn't have the time. So the main one that came to mind was cuticle oils. We were getting really frustrated with the brand that we were selling in the salon because the product was getting smaller, the margin was getting smaller, the price was getting more expensive, and we live in a deprived area. We were like, we can't charge people these prices. There was a lot of rules around how we could sell them as well, and we were like, well, we bought the product, surely we can sell it however we want. So I feel like that's why we chose that to go with first, because retail was really important to us always in the salon, wasn't it?
It's funny, I was talking to a new member of staff about this recently, like how we go into it, because she didn't know the backstory to it, and I touched on that. And that's something that I remember. We were painting in the salon, because if you're a busy 7 days a week salon, it's so difficult to be able to do any sort of maintenance. And as soon as we went into lockdown, obviously you and I were living together anyway, so we could travel into work and do things like paint. And it's just touching up the door handles and just making sure everything was like nice and neat. And we were talking about just where we go in the future when we do eventually come back. And one of the things we're talking about is retail, because retail can really bolster your takings as an individual, probably more so than a salon, but as a salon you could do some sort of commission schemes and stuff. And at that point in time, we didn't realise that the cuticle oil company we were using had just dropped the volume from 5 mil to, was it 3.75?
I don't know if it was 5 or 4.5, or I don't know. Anyway, but it went from
Huge.
one thing to something else, and the margin was getting smaller as well. The price was getting more. Anyway, so lockdown gave us the time to work out how to do it, and then just to actually do it.
See if it was feasible, you know?
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I think we were actually lucky to have just some savings. Like I think we felt okay in terms of like we could to divulge some of those savings.
I don't know financially how we were at that time. Don't know if we had much in terms of savings. Maybe a little bit.
Do you remember, so again, context. We had just closed our clothing store to go online. And at that point in time, we'd saved up some cash to be able to do a deposit on a flat, because I wanted to get into rental properties. So we had like, I think it was maybe like, I hate saying money, but like I think it was like 8 or maybe 10,000 put aside to put like a deposit down on a rental flat.
And that's what we used to start now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we don't like the whole idea of like investment and stuff like that and loans. It's not something that we want to do. We want nail order to grow very, very organically, and always we want to have control over it so that it can stay true to itself. I think that's really the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we'd taken like funding or outside investment, nail order could have grown so much quicker and been so much. Well, I wouldn't say it, but I wouldn't say it's much more, because I think sometimes it's a false narrative.
It's like when we did the gel polish. Like, obviously we'll get onto that later, but everything rode on that. Everything that we had financially went into that, and we were playing some crazy credit card games from month to month, weren't we?
Credit cards, tell you about that.
In another episodes. So we started with the cuticle oils and sanitizers
because pandemic.
And obviously hygiene should be really important in the salon anyway. So started with that.
Do you remember the first sanitizer we did?
Tropical juice.
Yeah,
it was so good.
I don't know why we got rid of that.
I don't know, I guess it just naturally fell to one of the less popular ones. I don't know why. It's still mine and Jennifer's favourite, and I think it is still hands. I've still got a bottle of the original. The clear bottle? And the original somehow is the best one. It's so good. I've got that over at the Academy.
One thing I would say is that the amount of sanitizer, we're really getting off topic, but the sanitizers that we've had as a company, a lot of the best ones we no longer do because they weren't popular, because they were best at us. Yeah,
like our favourites.
Yeah, Aspen, for example.
Oh God, you're going to start something in the comments with that. So for a year, it was just cuticle oil, sanitizer and merch. The merch came very organically because that was merch that was already our salon uniform. So the I Do Nails, What's Your Superpower was already what our staff wore in the salon. So we just got more made, didn't we?
Essentially
that was it, and then sold it to other people. And the masks came first, because obviously of the pandemic, so we just put that logo onto masks. But that was a logo that we already had. We were using it in our salon for our salon uniform. So it was just kind of like, let's just order a bit more and see if people like it.
It's funny, we kind of jumped in I skipped ahead. So we started working on the cuticle oil as soon as lockdown hit. But the first thing we released was masks. It was the first thing,
and I can remember you and I were sat in the garden, and we just had, because we'd taken pre-orders on the masks. Yeah. Never do pre-orders again, but anyway, and we just sat in the garden. I should get you to put flash a picture on the screen, and it was just all these
pink envelopes,
metallic pink envelopes, and we were just putting masks into envelopes and sticking labels on, sat in the garden during lockdown. Yeah.
So it's just a reusable mask, washable mask. It had a
I still
roller.
use mine when I'm doing my eyebrows, my microblading. I still wear that every single day.
One thing I would say is, you used to come back. You used to always have a cold.
I know now.
Was it 2 weeks before we got married? You had like this.
No, that was like
influenza.
4-5 weeks before. Yeah, I got the flu. That was really, really bad.
You were always sick, and I would say, granted, you do eyebrows a lot less, although you probably don't think that.
But no, because ever since after lockdown we started wearing the masks, and obviously I was like full time doing beauty then. Ever since then, it's just stopping as ill in general. Honestly, it's made such a difference to me.
Just that one thing.
I'm really particular about it when I'm doing microblading. My customers have to wear masks, because I'm within kissing distance. You know, you're not. There's nothing else where you're that close to somebody's face and mouth for that period of time. I mean, the dentist is the next thing. Obviously, you're in their mouth, but yeah. So I'm really strict about that.
I think with lashes as well, see, because you're at a different angle.
You're behind them.
Yeah.
And that was a whole thing during the pandemic. Remember, that's why they said hairdressers could open first, because they were stood behind.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, again, off topic. But so we just had the cuticle oil, the sanitizer, and the merch for a year. So that was in 2020, summer 2020.
Well, we had that. We were working in the background. We're always working in the background.
Always working in the background. And then 2021, we launched, in August 2021, we launched Extensions. So Extensions is our full cover tip system, for anybody who doesn't know. And Chris had been saying for years, why don't you come out with your own? Why don't you come out with your own? Because we had been using full cover tips in our own salon for, at that point, maybe like 8 years.
Yeah.
And we'd seen them very first time at Scottish Beauty Show. And we were like, nah, that seems stupid.
What was the headline?
Acrylic nails in 15 minutes. And so we were just wandering around the beauty show that year. The very next year we were working there, we seen the same stand, and I was like, I'm going to take off some of my nails, I'll get them to put them on, and I'll be really hard on them the rest of the weekend, and if they don't come off, I'll buy a starter kit and we'll test it in the salon.
Did you have acrylic nails on at that time?
Yes.
Acrylic nails.
Traditional acrylics, yeah. And then got it on, rest is history. So we started using that. And then we started, when other brands then came along, we would use a bit of one thing from one brand, a bit of another thing from the other brand. Because, for instance, we liked the tips from one brand, but we didn't like their method of adhesion. We liked the adhesion system of another. And then Chris was like, why don't you bring out your own? Because you're using different bits from different people. And again, because we'd started, at that point, we had no idea how to do it. But with the cuticle oils, it gave us that little insight into sort of how you might go ahead with these things. Then we already had the little customer base that we had for our cuticle oils. So yes, we launched Extensions. And what's so funny is that the night before we launched Extensions, we ordered all these starter kits. And we were really passionate about it, but I was trying just to put Chris into like a realistic place. And I was saying to Chris, as we walk in the dog around the block, I was like, look, we might not even sell one, we might sell just one or maybe two, but maybe hardly anything of these kits. It might just be a slow burner, it'll take time. Full cover tips are still relatively unknown. We're not known for offering like nail products, like, you know, gels and things like that. So yeah, don't worry if it's not. We'll get the word out there about it.
Let's go back to finances, because I think, to be honest with you guys, so when it came to cuticle oils, we bought thousands of cuticle oils, which cost thousands of pounds, and that seemed to work. When it came to Extensions, you would get up into the tens of thousands to get these kits.
Of pounds?
Pounds. And to be able to get stock to replenish if someone wanted it. So for instance, tip boxes and stuff like that, liquids and stuff like this. So again, we're risking it, not risking it all, but we're laying a lot in the line. And Rebecca's saying to me, we might not sell one.
We might not sell it. But we were living off my earnings from doing beauty, essentially, so we weren't taking any money out of nail order. So then the launch came and they sold out
within 6 days.
Yeah, they sold out. All the starter kits, they all sold out. And we could not believe it. Couldn't believe it.
That was an epic live. Jennifer was with us. If you know Jennifer, she's actually in Quadrennial. She was with us in that live. We did like a live demo. It was like a long 1 hour special. Like no one else did like lives at that stage for that amount of time, and a live demo. It's still actually, I think it's probably the first video on our YouTube channel. It's
probably longer than an hour. It's probably like 3 hours.
I think it was actually like, I don't know, 20 all in, but we let it go live at like, we did the live at 7, we launched it at 8, and I remember going to check the computer like 20 minutes past just to see if everything was okay, and flipping heck, sales. I remember coming back through and being like, yes!
And I had no idea because I was singing live, and these guys in the background were acting really weird, and I was like, what is going on? Are we selling anything? And then obviously when I came off, they were like, oh my God. So yeah. So then we had extensions, Q-Squads, sanitizer, merch, and that was for...
Olivia?
What came after that? Or was it kind of that was it until the gel polish?
I would say a full year later we did so right now we're recording this in September 2024. God, I forgot what year it was. And at that point in time, so we're talking now September 2022, so a year later, we were doing Manchester Beauty Show, Pro Beauty North, and Olympia, and at the same time we launched X-Base, which was our first gel.
That was definitely not a rebirth of nail order at all. It was just something else that we added because we already had, it was essentially just pigmented X gel.
But I think that kind of led us into the whole concept of we need to get gel products to customers.
Yeah. So we've been saying we weren't going to do gel polish, we weren't going to do gel polish, we weren't going to do gel polish, even though in 2019 Chris and I were sat outside of Wetherspoons in the summer and we were talking about, and this was 2019, so pre-pandemic, we could see a gap in the market for gel polish that was made in the UK or the EU and that was HEMA-free and simply just worked really, really well. But again, at that point, we had no experience with anything, so the thought came, the thought went.
Am I right in saying that the reason being is because there was rumbles of allergies at that point in time?
I can't really, that must have been like the beginning of, yeah, there must have been rumbles about that time. There must, yeah, I would say there must be, yeah. And
the whole, like mainstream,
not mainstream, no. And then the whole HEMA-free thing would like started up and things like that then. Yeah. So I would say like, yeah, there was certainly rumblings throughout the industry. I've always liked to keep a real close eye on things in terms of forums and just up to date on everything, even when, you know, I had the salon and stuff. But yeah, so there would have been rumblings then, I guess. But when we did the extensions, we were like, no, we're not going to do gel polish, not going to do gel polish. We're going to leave that to others. But our customers kept demanding and demanding and demanding it of us. And then we got to the point where we were like, we're not offering them a complete service. We're not offering our customers a complete service. We're offering them the method to extend the nails, the base, but then nothing to put on top of it. And it just seemed like the next logical step that we had to take for the business, even though it was something that I'd said for so long that we were never going to do. So when would you say...
I remember the camper van that we decided to... I remember that night we booked airfare to Las Vegas to go to a show. So
maybe like
I would say it was 18 months prior to us.
I think it was February 2022 that we started looking at gel polish.
Yeah, I'd say when we booked the airfare, I think it was maybe Easter holidays.
But I think we'd started before that because I'd already had loads of samples prior to that, so it could have been the end of 2021.
Yeah, probably.
It could have been,
yeah,
because I was getting samples from all sorts of factories in Europe at that time. Remember? Yep. And I thought I found one that I wanted, and then last minute, remember that? And it's a really good formula. I've got it downstairs. There was like 0.1% of an ingredient that I didn't want in it. So, and it was the way it was in the SDS. It was like it was on this like an extra page from all the other ingredients because it had just like overlapped, and obviously because it was the smallest percentage, it was at the very bottom of the list. I just missed it, and then I'd gone back to like revise everything, and it was quite close to me going, right, let's do it. I was like, oh no, and I was like, oh, can this be made without this? No, it can't. Blah 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 blah. So because it was something to do with it was in a raw material. So yeah, that was, I don't know, end of 2021, beginning of 2022, and then, as I said, we were really close to making that decision. We had other samples and stuff, great gels, and then we went to Cosmoprof in Las Vegas in 2022, this summer.
July.
Oh my
Do you remember going off the plane? 41 degrees Celsius, 109 degrees Fahrenheit. It was ridiculous.
I don't think 41 is 109.
Something like that.
Yeah.
119 maybe.
It was more than 41 degrees, I think. It was. It was so hot. It was awful.
To the point where we would literally go from the hotel to get to where we were going and have to stop at 2 or 3 bars great for beer, but also for air conditioning
And water.
and water. But the thing in
You
Las
could
Vegas,
not be outside at all.
yeah, the thing in Las Vegas is so blinking expensive. Even just for a beer or cocktail, you're $40. Instantly, that just pissed us off because I hate spending money when I don't have to.
We booked a hotel for 3 or 4 nights. We left after 1.
Yeah,
And we drove to
hightailed it out there.
Salt Lake City.
I remember being on the phone in the middle of Cosmopolitan after I'd been around 2 or 3 times. Being on the phone to American Express, being like, listen, I've got this flight booked. We're going to Houston. Can I cancel it and get that same flight, but take it from Salt Lake City? And they were like, yeah, we'll sort it.
So we had a car and drove to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Cosmopolitan were really disappointed. But so it's kind of like the beauty shows in the UK, except there is a section for like beauty suppliers, manufacturers and stuff. So we were going looking at
Raw materials
and packaging. That's what we look at, mostly packaging. But then there's also the part which is more akin to the beauty shows that we have here. So we were walking around there as well. And then I think it was probably like the second time we were walking around, just like make sure we've not missed anything, etc, etc, etc. And there was this tiny little stand, and we got some samples.
Do you want to tell the real story?
I can't really remember this.
Oh, you obviously can't. So we walked by this stand and I said to Rebecca, oh, that looks like they do gel polish over there. Why don't you go get a sample? She says, I've tried that one. I don't like it. We walked all the way back round and we walked by this lady and the lady just wanted a sample. I said, come on, let's just go in. Nudged her in and we got a bag of like goodies, a good bag of samples. And that was
Did I say that I tried it and I didn't like it? But I've never tried it.
You had tried it, but it was a different formula. I think we were lucky that we got a good formula at that time, and obviously we've made tweaks to it before it actually went to launch, but we came back home and I remember coming back home and you trying it and being like, wow, this is like milky, creamy.
It was unbelievable. Polish. I think it was like the red. I think it was the red first.
Yeah. I think we lucked out and got really good colours.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Then when I got like the SDS and everything, and I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. Made in Europe, it's HEMA free. The pigmentation is unrivaled, and then obviously there was other bonuses. Oh, it cures in 30 seconds, etc, etc. So yeah, and then it took. So that was the July 2022, and then it took until the October 2023 for everything to be manufactured and signed off and receive everything. And the bottles, obviously the bottles very unique. We had to get a mold made for the lid, which took a long time as well. Make some tweaks to the formula, come up with all of our own colours.
100 colours at launch.
100 colours. So
that was one of the biggest and the boldest things that Rebecca and I set out to try do is, if we're going to do it, we're going to try and do it right. And by right, I don't mean just launching 100 colours just off the shelf crap. What I mean is getting something that's unbelievably, like Rebecca just said, unrivaled in terms of the performance of the product. And then adding extra things like getting 100 colours so that when you decide to switch, you know you've got some substance in the background. Yeah,
we were like, people aren't going to switch for 5 colours or 20 colours or whatever it is. You need to come out of the gates with, be like serious. This is serious, proper. Yes, I can switch to that. They have enough colours. I know a lot of people think 100 colours isn't a lot, and obviously we have a lot more than that now, but really, if you look at the colours that you're using on a day-to-day basis,
2 handfuls.
2 handfuls, maybe 4 handfuls, up to that. But yeah, realistically, it's the same ones over and over and over again. Anyway, so yeah, it took until the October, and at some point halfway through that, we were like, we had no intention of doing builder gels whatsoever. None. Our intention was simply that we were going to be able to provide a gel polish to put on the base, which was extensions. And then halfway through, we realised we have to do builder gel. We have to. We weren't that big on builder gel, were we? Like in the salon, which sounds crazy. Obviously, we did it, but extensions or full cover tips was just.
I think it's hard if you have trained in builder and never trained in extensions. You don't understand the parallel between the two. So what you have is you build builder to extend, and that's what a lot of the problems have started. Because you did full cover tips, your salon, your clientele were used to doing that. They transferred from acrylic to full cover tips, whereas a lot of other people transferred from acrylic to builder gel. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So when you were, in your mind, acrylics, SOS extensions probably still are the perfect foundation.
They are perfect foundation. They're just so perfect to paint on.
Yeah.
They really are. But yeah, halfway through we realised, build a gel. We're going to have to do it. So
we went back to the drawing board.
I went back to revisit all of my samples and everything that I had received from probably 6 different manufacturers. And then we landed on UK one. And they were great, really responsive. It was really fast. Not like what's happening now. So we kind of scrambled to ensure that we had the builder to launch at the same time, didn't we?
The builder actually came first.
Yeah. As in we had that first. In
the process, a lot of the samples you tried were other things that we now have. So, for instance, our FlexiGel, which is a rubber base.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might have just released that as a builder gel, even though it's a lot softer than what a traditional builder is.
Yeah.
And our hard gel, which again we launched even before a gel polish.
No.
Did we not?
No. Did we launch it the same day?
Nah, I think
was it 4 launches? No. Was it the same day?
I think it was before.
No, it was either the same day or after.
Scroll down. If you're watching this on YouTube, scroll down. You'll probably see a playlist, and I'm pretty sure it's before.
Hard gel was not before. Promise you. Promise.
Either way, it was in production. It was being worked on at the same time as the gel polish.
It might have been the same day. Anyway.
There or thereabouts.
Anyway. So yeah, that was October 2023, October the 8th.
Yeah.
That we launched our gel range, and here we are. Not quite a year later. It feels like it's like forever.
10 years.
Yeah, it does. And I think we need to like ground ourselves sometimes and remember it's not even been a year yet. It's almost a year, but not quite. And I think what we've done is amazing. And yeah, just keep striving for more. We have so many exciting things in the pipeline right now. I'm really excited for these new products.
I would say maybe we were a bit too like straight out there with really good products, and now everyone expects the same. So again, we could go back and just pull stuff off the shelf without changing formulas and stuff, but it wouldn't be good enough for you guys, and you guys now have you expect more. So that's why I think things are taking a little bit longer in terms of...
They are. I think there's no handbook on how to like run a business like this, and sometimes you'll release something and you'll look back at it and think, I could have spent a little bit more time on that and made it a little bit more perfect. So I think instead of doing that now, what I'm trying to do is slow down during the production time and go, not quite, as in particularly with the gel polishers. In fact, even with builder and stuff as well, it's like, no, let's increase the pigment. No, that's a little bit spicy. Can we change that? Or I'd like to improve the self-leveling on this. Really just making those changes. And, good things come to those who wait. And it's frustrating because I get very impatient and I want to launch everything right now. But it's worth it, I think.
I also don't think the warehouse would cope.
This is very true.
One thing I would say about touching on the back end of things, other than releasing all these products, we have doubled our staff in the last year.
Because we've doubled our staff in the last 2 months. You say yeah, but yeah.
Just because it's gone wild thanks to you guys, but also thanks to the products. Like the stuff that you're developing is unreal. It's great for nail techs. I would say a lot of nail techs feel super empowered now that they've got really good products, but they don't have to. I hate to say this, but don't have to be the best nail tech for them to work. Whereas before, you had to really go into serious in-depth prep to be able to get some products to work.
Do you mean in terms of hammer-free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can be not sloppy. That's not the right phrase, but you can go. You don't have to change the way to get these products to work really well. Yeah. The products are really good in their own right. I
think as well the difference is we had our own salon for that amount of time. I have sat across the table from clients. I know what it's like to be anxious about allergies or, being frustrated with the products or be unhappy with the way that I'm being treated by the brand that I'm spending thousands and thousands of pounds on a year. And those are the things I don't ever want any of our customers to feel like. So...
Yeah, they still will.
Yeah, and then people are going to have frustrations. Like right now, one of the biggest frustrations is these bloody pots not being in stock. But I think people need to cut us a break. I really do. the pots might not be in stock, but the bottles are. It's not like the product isn't there that you can use. And
are we one of the kind of first like newer brands to bring back built on a pot the way it should be?
I don't know if anybody else does builder in a pot. I'm thinking maybe one. And when I say builder, we're talking about soft gel builder, not hard gel. There's somebody that maybe does, but I don't think it's really, no, I don't think anybody does. I think everybody's about to.
Copycats.
It's flattering, really, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so it's like Laura and I were talking about this earlier. And Laura was like, see if when Laura did lashes, she's like, see if I ran out of the glue that I used and I went to order it and it was out of stock. I wouldn't then like go mental at the brand at the brand. I would just buy something else and go, oh, I should have bought more at the time.
Yeah, stick on a notification to say when it's back in stock.
Yeah, exactly. And it's annoying. Like, we have been in that position, things are out of stock, but it's not because the brand doesn't want it to be in stock. Like, the brands will, if brands have something out of stock, which is a very popular item, they will be doing everything in their power to get that product back in stock, because at the end of the day, it's business.
The sad thing is, I mean, we've been in a situation where you've had to pay extra on shipping charges or extra on something to expedite it, to be able to get it in quicker. The one thing I would say is, if something is out of stock, it's generally because it's more popular now than it ever has been before.
Exactly. So yeah, it annoys me. It's annoying because it's like everything's in stock for you to be able to do your job. Also, there are stuff in pots in stock. Maybe you just don't use those colours very regularly, but there is stuff available.
Also, I've lost my train of thought. That's something really good to say there. I
think stock things is a big thing right now. I see a lot of people talking about it, and people really have to understand that nail order in its current rebirth is 11 months old. Yeah. We aren't a brand who has been selling gel or nail products for a decade or even 5 years or whatever it is. So for us to know how popular something is going to be, you got to start selling it before you know. We can't just blindly, stock tens of thousands of an item and then it just sit there and then go to waste. We're not of a size that we can do that. So we need to have an item for sale to be able to then plan.
One thing my train of thought has now got me back onto it, and that is planning. Rebecca plans to the finite degree, but you can never predict sales trends in terms of colours. Rebecca might say, this is going to be an excellent colour, and it doesn't sell. It sits on the shelf, whereas the other three that were launched along with it are selling in droves.
It's like Dijon right now.
Oh my word.
One of our autumn colours is called Dijon. It is a green, it's a beautiful green. But never in a million years did I think that it was going to be the best seller of the range. Never in a million years. So I'm going, oh my God, I need to get some more of that on order because we're going to run out.
And again, these things are unpredictable, whereas on launch day, Auburn and
Bewitched
were the most popular.
They still are. Auburn, Bewitched and Dijon are like pretty much the same. But as a flat colour and a green, like see if it was like a deep wine red or like brown or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. But it's a green. It's like tractor green. It's beautiful, but never in a million years. So yeah, there's that. We could never know trends. And if something happens where say a product goes viral, or suddenly maybe be honest, like another brand does something that upsets people and then people decide that they're rebranding, we can't ever know that is going to happen, and then that is going to make sales go absolutely wild and sell things out. And then like we've just explained about how long it took to produce like the gel polish, things can take time. Like there's a lot of things to put into, there's a lot of things that go to one thing coming, doesn't it?
We've unfortunately made our process more complex by having
the bottles makes things a lot.
The bottles are ultra complex because they have to be colour matched to the gel polish that's inside it.
This is why we did the pots, because we thought everything was going to be simple. But the problem is with the pots is that our factory down south, as great as they are, they've maybe not been as honest because they probably just didn't want to like piss us off, for want of a better word, about the situation to do with the pots. It's not the gel that's the problem, it's like getting the actual pots. And if they told us way back when, You know, this has been going on since what, like April. Chris and I are very resourceful, and we will make something happen. So if they told us, we would have just
Pot's been out of stock. That's it.
Pot's been out of stock, yeah, like the actual packaging. If they had said we're having trouble with our current manufacturer, blah 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 blah, we would have just jumped to it and we would have sourced some ourselves, and they would have been here.
Rebecca and I have discussed jumping on like planes before to go get stuff if need be. It's never an issue, you know, but we just need people to communicate with us, and that's one of the biggest issues. I would say that a couple of years ago we had, just to put it in context, the pens that we use for our cuticle oils, they come from China. They're shipped to the UK and they're filled in our UK factory here, but when they come into the UK they have to go through customs. Now there is a small chance, and I think this has maybe happened with the pots, where they've come into customs and the whole container that they're in has been seized.
It's just happened to us again recently with tips.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say that the items that we've purchased, there's something wrong with them, but there could be something else within that container, and it could just be something as simple as someone misdeclaring what's in the packaging.
Because remember, these containers will be shared between heaps and heaps and heaps of businesses. They're great big containers. But when they get seized, they get stuck for a very, very long months and months and months.
Like
You're
4 months, I think.
3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah.
And with the cuticle oils, we were in a really good place where we were like, as soon as an order arrives, we place another order for the pens. It's just the empty shells. And that was great. But because that got stuck at customs for all of those months, that just knocked everything off, didn't it?
And again, it's when you're ordering tens of thousands of these pens, you think you are well, and you've got a backup stock and everything else. As soon as 10, 20,000 pens get stuck at customs for weeks, and you don't know how long it's going to be released, you don't act on it right away, which we probably should have, and we would do now.
Now we would, but yeah. But it's also a financial thing, because you've spent all of that money on those pens, and they're now stuck at customs, and you don't have them, and you don't have the revenue that they could be making. So you've now just got to buy more, and not ever knowing if you're ever going to get those pens back.
Again, that's what the supplier said. The supplier, it's not their fault. It's not our fault.
We've now been through this enough times that we know, right, something gets stuck in customs, you just reorder. It happened to us again with tips just recently. But I think it has to be what's happened with them. You don't know when the end date is. You don't know when the end date is. But if they had just told us, we would have sourced our own, and we would have been way on top of it.
Again, the sad thing is, maybe this is the first time they've had that experience. I doubt it, but maybe.
But literally, we only found this out, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And then since then, it's been promises and promises and promises, and I'm like, do I just get our own parts? Because I'm just like, it's just a bit awkward. But anyway, hopefully that will be resolved in the next 3 weeks. I hope.
Okay, so that's the background of nail order, where we're at today. Is there anything else you want to cover on this podcast? Like, what's going on in the nail industry just now? Chocolate browns. Seen a thing on Scratch Magazine, chocolate browns.
People say this.
The reason I'm getting onto that is the only colour that I can think that we sell a load of right now is cinnamon.
We else do sell a lot of cinnamon.
Is chocolate brown nails a thing just now?
Yeah. Apparently deep wine red is as well. But I don't see a lot of nails like this at the moment, but maybe I've not spent a lot of time on social media.
Yeah. Ruby glitz we sell a lot of.
Glitters.
Yeah. So I've not done enough research on the nail industry to see what's going on just now. I don't want to start talking about TPO and all that crap.
I can't think of anything that's particularly going on right now. Nothing really that I can think of.
I think right now, apart from the TPO thing that's gone just in the last month or so, when people are trying to catch headlines, I'd say everyone seems to be quite normal, regular.
I mean, is there such thing as normal?
I don't know. I would say everything.
It's such a dramatic industry to be in. Like, if you guys think that like nail techs are dramatic, let me tell you right now, brand owners are on a whole other level. That would be a whole podcast. That would be more than a podcast. That would be a podcast series.
Yeah.
But yes, we stay positive. Try our hardest. So if you have enjoyed this first episode of Chris and Becca Back Together, I can't release the name of the new podcast that is going to be coming out soon. We're going to try and get it bi-monthly. That's every second week. Is that what that is?
Well, yeah, every second week we're going to get... I'm having an issue with the Instagram name. Instagram stole the name after me after I got it. So we do have a podcast. The reason being is we used to put out a YouTube video every single week. And it's hard to do because of the level of detail that Rebecca's having to go into in testing products. Normally we just test them pretty much on camera.
Yes.
It's hard now, it's getting too much.
It is too much. Plus, we can't just do build a gel nails every single week as a YouTube video. It's not interesting to people.
Yeah, it's good for revenue though.
But what do people want to see? That's really the thing.
Another thing.
What do people want to see? What do they want to know?
Yeah.
What should we talk about?
We're definitely looking back with a proper concrete format for the podcast.
Hi.
Yes.
Okay.
We can deviate off it, but we're going to have a concrete podcast, core item of the
think-
podcast.
We need a neon sign right here.
God, we've spent so much money on this. New studio, new office for
Which is going to be a whole other topic because Chris and I built this ourselves. And the topic is going to be time trade-off.
Do you know what? Let's bring it up real quick and I can probably edit it out. Because I was going to discuss it with you yesterday.
Yeah, but okay. You don't want us to keep this for another episode?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I mean, we can literally film the other episode tomorrow if you wanted to. Well, if we don't have a neon sign, then we can't.
Okay. So, neon signs that she's got a big on air.
A big what?
On air?
No. I think you get a neon sign. Right there. It'll look good. It'll probably have a buzz though. That's the only thing with neon signs. They do have a buzz.
Okay.
Come on, neon clock.
Again, the reason we're here is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, hopefully the audio is really good because this is the first time we're just trialling this out, is it's nice and quiet here. Whereas normally when we do YouTube videos, I have to put loud background noise over it to mask the background that's going on in the warehouse, which is like right next door to where we used to film our YouTube, or like our nails and stuff. So hopefully the audio is perfect.
Do you know what I am feeling though? A draft. Really drafty. And that heater is not heating up the room.
I feel quite mild.
My legs are cold.
Okay, draft explainer on the door. And maybe finish the
maybe put the rest of the skirting on as well, like down here.
Alright, skirting, neon sign. Guys, we're almost fine.
Some stuff on the desk.
Yes. In fact, if you want to send stuff, it's Unit 5 and send us your pictures of nails and we'll pop them up there or something. Yeah.
Lovely, beautiful.
Okay. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed today's episode, this will be on your podcast devices, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and all that sort of jazz. We're also, obviously you're watching on YouTube as well. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Oh, sorry, that's your line.
You've just taken over, it's fine.
I feel like the core format is I have to be the host and just ask you questions because everyone wants to hear your opinion. They don't give a rat's ass about me.
What do you think that we can talk about true crime at any point in time on this podcast?
True crime in the nail industry. Certain crimes, like
that was a crime.
That was like that was what could we call it? Nail junkie. Is that one of your things?
Crime junkie, yeah.
Caught red fingernails.
Right-handed, yeah.
Okay. And the problem is, so Rebecca and I listen to different podcasts, and we're probably
very different.
You're gonna hear some of them come into. At some point in time, Rebecca's going to start talking about there's been a murder, and I'll start talking about business. And
yeah, but I do like some of your business ones, like how I built it.
Great one.
Very good.
I cannot wait to the day that you and I are on How I Built
that
It.
would be wonderful.
And Guy Raz asks us, is it down to hard work or is it down to luck? Well, in fact, let's just answer this question right now.
No. That is, in fact, let's write it down. That is a whole episode in itself.
Is your success down to hard work or luck?
Always hard work. It can't continue on luck.
You can't continue, but your success could be up till this point through luck.
Absolutely not.
And let's discuss.
Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully you'll see us here next week.